Hello friends and welcome to my new video. Today I'll be talking about a subject which is slightly different from the topics I've been discussing in my previous videos. It's about remakes and it's about remaking a film in a different language from its original film. Because India has so many different languages and films are made in each of those languages, there is a rich source of original material available to Hindi filmmakers to adapt, to remake from these regional languages. Today I'll be talking about 10 classic Hindi movies which have been remade from their original Bengali movies. Now, before I start with my list, I just like to make the difference between a remake, a bilingual, and a dubbed version. A dubbed version simply is when you take the original regional language movie and you dub the movie with Hindi dialogues and release the same movie as a dubbed version. A lot of South movies, as you will see now, are shown both on cable TV and OTTs in these dubbed formats. They have a new title given to them, which is a Hindi title, and it's the original South film actually, just with a dubbed soundtrack of dialogues and songs playing over them. So that's the dubbed version. The bilingual typically is a film shot simultaneously in two languages, and prime examples of bilinguals in Indian cinema I can give you are films made by people like Shakti Samant and Pramod Chakrabarti, where they've shot the Bengali and the Hindi version simultaneously with the original dialogues. For example, Aradhana was shot in Bangla and in Hindi simultaneously, as was Anand Ashram, as was Barsat Ki Ek Raat and Anushandhan. They were shot simultaneously with different languages. Pramod Chakrabarti did the same with his Jagir and Teen Murti. So those are bilingual films. But what I'm going to talk about today are remakes of Bengali films into Hindi films later on. The first movie I want to talk about is this film from 1964 or 65 it was, I think, called Chotisy Mulakat, starring Uttam Kumar and Vaijayanti Mala. This was Uttam Kumar's first venture into Hindi cinema, and it looked like a very promising venture at that. However, the movie flopped. The film was directed by Alo Sarkar, and it flopped very badly, leading Uttam Kumar into quite a bit of financial trouble at that time. However, not many people may be aware that Chotisy Mulakat actually wasn't an original story, but was in fact taken from a super hit movie of Uttam Kumar in Bangla, and that movie is Ogni Porikha. Ogni Porikha was a landmark film for Uttam Kumar. It was one of his first big hits as a leading man. In fact, his first big hit as a leading man, and also the beginning of his super successful partnership with Suchitra Sen. Ogni Porikha was their first film as main romantic leads, and it was a super hit. It had some wonderful music by Anupam Ghotak, and the songs and the romantic duo of Uttam Suchitra was established firmly with this movie. So whilst Ogni Porikha was this super hit movie, its Hindi remake, Chotisy Mulakat, unfortunately didn't follow the same kind of success and ended up being a flop. Now, Rishikesh Mukherjee had this wonderful movie with Rajesh Khanna, which was quite an unusual movie at the time, called Bhavarchi. I'm sure most of you all would have seen Bhavarchi, about this unusual and strange man who walks into a household as a domestic help and ends up leaving the household after infusing the household with a lot of love and harmony, and the family starts really living together after he's left the house. Bhavarchi was a wonderful film by Rishikesh Mukherjee. However, not many might be aware that the original of Bhavarchi was a Bangla film called Golpo Hole Shotti, starring the famous actor Robi Ghosh in the lead role, the role which Rajesh Khanna did in Hindi. Robi Ghosh did the original Bangla version of Golpo Hole Shotti. Golpo Hole Shotti literally translates to a fact, even though it's a story. That's what the title means. And it was written and directed by Tapan Sinha, the famous Bengali director. And it was hugely appreciated and a commercial success as well, which was the prime inspiration for Rishikesh Mukherjee to remake it as Rajesh Khanna's Bhavarchi. Now, another Rishikesh Mukherjee movie. In fact, you will soon find out that Rishikesh Mukherjee features quite prominently in this list of remakes from Bangla to Hindi. Now, one of his landmark comedy films, Chupke Chupke, is also a remake. It's made from a Bangla movie called Chotisy, which had Uttam Kumar essaying the lead role, which Dharmendra did in the Hindi version. Uttam Kumar, Madhavi Mukherjee played the lead roles of Dharmendra and Sharmila in the Hindi version. And a famous character actor, a wonderful actor, Bikash Rai, played the role of Om Prakash in the original Bangla. Choddobeshi is a rib-tickling, hilarious comedy, and in case you do follow Bengali, or in case you manage to get a print with subtitles on it, do watch it. It's a fantastic movie. Classic enough for Rishikesh Mukherjee to want to remake it as Chupke Chupke. The original of Chupke Chupke, Choddobeshi, starring Uttam Kumar. Shakti Samant had made a film in 1976 or 77, which made quite the headlines when it was announced, because it was the first time Shakti Samant and Rajesh Khanna were making a movie which didn't have R.D. Burman as their music director, or S.D. Burman. In fact, the music was composed by Lakshmikant Pyarelal, and they did a fabulous job. And also for the lead pair of the film, because it was for the first time Rajesh Khanna was teaming up with his sister-in-law, Simple Kapadia, and the movie was Anurag. Now, Anurag didn't really succeed much at the box office. It didn't do as well as one expected it to do, being a Shakti Samant Rajesh Khanna film. It didn't do that well, but its music was quite acclaimed. The songs were hits, and not too many people know again that Anurag is not an original story. It was actually first made in Bangla, starring Uttam Kumar and Tanuja, called Deya Neya. It's the same story of a rich man's son who leaves his father's house to pursue music and masquerades as a driver in someone else's house. And whilst Anurag was a damn squib at the box office, the original Deya Neya was a huge hit, and it had some very, very memorable songs. Music by Shamal Mitra, who was also the producer of the movie. And it was a big hit. And unfortunately, the Hindi movie didn't manage to capture the same kind of success that the Bangla original did. Do watch it if you like a good romantic comedy. It's a wonderful movie, and not to be missed, Deya Neya, the original of Anurag. Now, one of Guru Dutt's classic movies, not Pyasa or Kagas Ke Phool, but Sahib, Biwi aur Gulam is another hugely acclaimed movie of Guru Dutt with Meena Kumari and Rahman in important roles as well. And Sahib, Bibi aur Gulam was this absolutely classic movie which won Guru Dutt a lot of accolades. It didn't do very well at the box office. However, it was critically acclaimed and had, it got very positive reviews from all critics. However, the original of Sahib Bibi aur Gulam, also called Shahib Bibi aur Gulam, and stars Uttam Kumar along with Shumitra Devi, and is a wonderful movie once again. And absolutely, it's one of Uttam Kumar's best performances. It's a superb movie, and this is the original from which Bimal Mitra's Shahib Bibi Gulam, from which Guru Dutt's Hindi version of the same name was made. Both are equally great movies. Do watch the Bangla one in case you haven't. One thing before I continue with my list, there is the inevitable comparison when a movie is remade from an original language to a new language, or an old movie to a new remake. There are comparisons which are really inevitable. You can't escape that. But in today's list, the movies I'm talking about, I really wouldn't want to give you my opinions about which one I think is better of the two, whether the Bangla is better or the Hindi is better, because these are very subjective opinions. And all the movies that I'm mentioning in the list are very good movies. And it's end of the day a personal opinion whether someone prefers the Bangla original more or someone likes a Hindi remake better. It's a very personal thing, which is why I'm staying away from which I think is better of the two in these remakes and originals. The next movie is this wonderful tearjerker made by Asit Sen called Kamoshi, with Wahida Rahman in a career best role, along with Rajesh Khanna and Dharmendra in a small role. Kamoshi was this wonderful, emotionally charged movie, and it won a lot of accolades, and Wahida Rahman was absolutely magnificent in her performance of a nurse who nurses psychologically stressed and hurt people back to emotional health, good emotional health, and pays a price with her own health suffering as a result of that. Now, Kamoshi was a wonderful movie, and its Bengali original was an equally charged and good movie called Deep Chele Jai, and stars Suchitra Sen in the role which Wahida Rahman did later on, and Basanta Chaudhary playing the role of Rajesh Khanna. So do watch it. It's one of Suchitra Sen's landmark performances in her Bengali filmography. Deep Chele Jai is one of those classic movies which have made a permanent mark in the history of Bangla cinema. It's the original of Kamoshi. Do watch it. It's a wonderful movie. Jaya Bhaduri and Vijay Anand are the stars of the next movie I want to talk about. Yes, that's right, it's Kora Kagas. a story of marital discord and an eventual resolution between a husband and wife who have major differences of opinion. Kora Kagas was a big hit. Jaya Bhaduri, Vijay Anand did wonderfully well in their portrayals of the husband and wife who can't seem to get along. And Kora Kagas was also taken from an original Bangla movie called Shat Pake Bandha, starring Suchitra Sen and Soumitra Chatterjee. It's the same story of husband and wife who don't get along, mainly because of their difference in thinking and their different socio-economic backgrounds. And what happens to them, whether they're able to resolve their differences or not, is what Shat Pake Madha is all about. It's the original of Kora Kagas and a fantastic movie. Do watch it if you manage to get hold of the movie and have subtitles to help you. It's a fantastic movie, Shat Pake Madha. As I told you, Hrishikesh Mukherjee is quite prominently featuring in this list, and he features yet again with his movie Bemisal, starring Amitabh Bachchan, Rakhi, and Vinod Mehra, which the great movie that it is owes its origin to another superb Bangla film called Amisha O Shakha, starring Uttam Kumar, Anil Chatterjee, and Kaveri Bosh, playing the roles which Amitabh, Vinod Mehra, and Rakhi played in the Hindi version. Amisha O Shakha is another fantastic movie, and I, for one, saw Amisha O Shakha much later than I had seen Bemisal, and I was absolutely amazed to see what a wonderful movie this was. There are a few subtle differences in Amisha O Shakha and Bemisal. I wouldn't want to tell you that. It's better that you see the movie for yourself and discover the differences. But overall, it's a fantastic movie. And although I'm pretty sure in my mind which of the two I like better in most of the other cases, in this particular case, I'm always 50-50 on Amisha O Shakha and Bemisal. I cannot rank either one of them higher than the other. They're both superb movies. Do watch it in case if you haven't. You won't be disappointed. It's a wonderful movie. Amisha O Shakha, the original of Bemisal. Shakti Samant's Amar Prem, starring Rajesh Khanna and Sharmila Tagore, was a super hit, and it was made at the stage when Rajesh Khanna was the reigning superstar, and everything he touched turned to gold. It had some wonderful music by R.D. Burman, and Amar Prem was this unusual love story of a married man and a courtesan, and it sort of bordered on platonic love and not a romantic love in the most conventional sense. But it was a wonderful movie with some great music and great performances by Rajesh Khanna and Sharmila Tagore. And it had an original Bangla sauce, which was Nishi Poddo, starring Uttam Kumar once again and Sabitri Chatterjee. And Nishi Poddo, like the later Hindi Amar Prem, had some wonderful music throughout the movie, and it had superlative performances by the lead cast of Sabitri Chatterjee and Uttam Kumar. In fact, rumor has it that Rajesh Khanna had continuously watched Nishi Poddo quite a few times before starting his preparation for Amar Prem. I don't know how far that is true. I've read it in a few articles and write-ups, but I'm not surprised if it is true, because Uttam Kumar was fabulous in Nishi Poddo. the original of Amar Prem. The last movie I want to talk about in this list is a very huge favorite of mine. It's directed by Basu Chatterjee and stars Amitabh Bachchan and Maushami Chatterjee, Manzil. And Manzil again is, it's a remake of quite a well-known Bangla movie called Akash Kushum. And Akash Kushum starring Aparna Sen and Soumitra Chatterjee, and directed by Mrinal Sen. It's a wonderful movie. Again, some very fundamental differences between the Bengali and Hindi, which I will not divulge, But it's a wonderful movie. The Hindi one is perhaps a tad lighter in atmosphere than the Bangla movie. The Bangla movie does get a little serious and grim at times, but it's a beautiful movie all the same, and definitely worth a watch in case if you haven't. It's directed by Mrinal Sen, starring Soumitra Chatterjee and Aparna Sen, both of whom put up beautiful performances in this movie. So this is the original of Manzil, Akash Kushum. Do watch it if you haven't. So these were the 10 movies, in my list today of Hindi movies which have their original source in classic Bangla cinema. I hope you like this video, and I hope this video has encouraged you to look for these movies and watch the original ones. You might be needing subtitles for them. I hope you do find the movies. I'll put down the list in the comment section so that you know the names of the movies to hunt to make your hunt easier. And I hope you enjoy the movies, because as cinema, they're great cinema, irrespective of which language they are in. Hope you like the video. Leave your views and your feedback in the comment section. And until the next time, bye for now.